There is a very specific kind of boss who will remember your kid's name, your anniversary, the fact that your dog had surgery last spring, and somehow still be the reason that you cried in your car in the parking lot. Today we're talking about Michael Scott, world's best boss, according to the mug that he bought himself. And underneath the cringe and the chaos, there's one of the clearest case studies in television for what happens when a leader needs to be liked more than he needs to be respected. And if you've never seen The Office, first of all, what rock are you living under? And second of all, Michael Scott runs the Scranton branch of a paper company called Dunder Mifflin. And he is, by every conventional measure, bad at a lot of his job. He's also somehow one of the most beloved bosses in television history. And a quick disclaimer before we get into it. This is a case study using a fictional character, not a clinical read on anyone real, including Steve Carell, who's the guy that played him. And if you've worked under someone like Michael, this is for you. And if you've never seen the show, you're still going to follow the whole thing, I promise. That gap between beloved and bad at his job is the entire video. So here's the thesis. Michael Scott confused being liked with being respected, and he spent an entire career chasing the wrong one. And so those two things look very similar from the outside. They feel completely different from the inside, especially if you're the one that's working for him. So let's look at the evidence. Number one, the world's best boss mug. He bought that for himself. Nobody gave it to him. So what this reveals is that when you have to declare your own authority out loud, it's usually because there's some part of you that doesn't trust that it's real. The mug isn't confidence, it's more of a request. And in a real office, this is the manager who reminds the team that they are in charge just a little too often, right? The one who needs the title said out loud in meetings. But confidence doesn't need a prop. Number two. Diversity Day. Good intentions, zero self-awareness. And when he finally gets called out, he makes it about his own redemption instead of the actual harm that he caused in the room. And so this reveals a leader who centers his own feelings the moment that he is confronted, instead of just fixing the thing. And so in a real office, this is the boss who gets defensive in a feedback conversation. Somehow you end up comforting them instead of being heard. Evidence number three, we've got firing Devin. Michael makes the call, and then he immediately can't sit with it. He agonizes out loud. He second guesses himself in front of the team. He makes everyone else manage his guilt about a decision that he already made. And so what this reveals is that avoidance is dressed up as caring too much. The decision is still going to happen, right? This decision did still happen. It just costs everyone around him more than it needed to. And so in a real office, this is the manager who delays a hard call for so long or just processes it so publicly that the team starts losing trust in the judgment, not just the outcome. Piece of evidence number four, we've got threat level midnight, everybody's favorite. Threat level midnight and the constant chase for a fun boss, right? Michael needs to be the center of every room, the party planner, the entertainer, the one with the bit. And so that reveals that leadership is performed more as entertainment instead of leadership as stewardship. Being fun becomes the job instead of being a side effect of doing the job well. And in a real office, this is the boss who prioritizes morale optics, the parties, the jokes, the culture, over the substantive stuff. Clear expectations, real feedback, actual raises, right? The team that throws the best holiday party isn't automatically the team that feels safe the rest of the year. Piece 5. Michael and Jan. This is the one that proves it isn't just a management style. It's actually him. When he's with Jan, there's no org chart, no direct reports, no performance reviews that we know of. Just two people, and the exact same pattern shows up anyway, right? He needs to be wanted more than he needs to be respected. He overcorrects, he performs, he reads every silence as rejection instead of just letting a silence be a silence. And so that reveals that this was never really a workplace problem, wearing a Michael Scott costume, right? The workplace just gave it a bigger stage. So take away the title, the office, the mug, and the wound is still the wound. And in a real office, this shows up as the colleague or the boss who can't let a disagreement sit without smoothing it over immediately, right? Who needs the relationship resolved right now, even at the cost of actually working through what happened. Now, here's what it costs. Scranton stays a chaotic, inconsistent place to work. The loyalty in that office is loyalty to Michael personally, not trust in management as a function. And that's a strange kind of exhausting to live inside because people genuinely love him, but they also can't rely on him. Both things can be true at the same time. And holding both is its own quiet toll on a team. And it's worth asking why this pattern forms in the first place, because it's rarely just ego, right? Usually somewhere long before there was ever a title attached to it, this person's sense of worth got wired to being liked. And the title doesn't fix that. It just hands the pattern a bigger stage and higher stakes, because now other people's jobs and livelihoods are downstream of whether he can tolerate being disliked for 30 seconds. Now, 5 things worth sitting with. Number 1, being liked and being trusted are not the same currency. You can have one without the other, and a team usually knows which one they're actually getting. Number 2, avoiding a hard conversation doesn't make it kinder. It just moves the cost onto someone else, usually the person who has to sit in the uncertainty the longest. 3, if your team has to manage your feelings during a feedback conversation, the feedback didn't land. They were too busy taking care of you to actually hear you. And 4, fun culture is not a substitute for psychological safety. A boss can be hilarious and still be someone that nobody trusts with the truth. And number 5, if the pattern shows up everywhere, not just at work, the workplace was never the source. It was just the loudest place that it got to play out. Now, none of this is an excuse for bad behavior, right? It's just where the real work has to happen, and it's usually not at a leadership seminar. So, here's the question that I would leave you with. Have you ever worked for someone that you genuinely loved and also could never fully count on? And what did that actually cost you? I'll see you in the next one.